ended up coming across a mod that I found extremely unique and interesting for all Mustang owners out there. And we ended up coming across their so-called puddle lights that you can get for your car. And pretty much what this is are LED lights that go on the underside of the mirror of your Mustang. I definitely feel like this was a great mod to add to the car just for a very cheap and affordable price. What is awesome about these puddle lights is the fact you can get them on a variety of different websites as in AmericanMuscle.com or even CJ's Pony Parts. And what is cool about this is the fact you don't have to have any electrical experience at all. And this is extremely straightforward, and it comes with instructions so you don't mess up along the way. And what is also nice about this as well is that it comes in a kit that comes with zip ties, wires, LEDs, and also the snips as well, so you don't have to do any soldering at all. And considering that I am a cheap ass, and I guarantee a lot of you guys want to save some money as well, I decided I'm going to go a different option, and I went ahead and bought these off Amazon. Now there's absolutely nothing wrong with going ahead and buying these off American Muscle or even CJ Pony Parts, but I ended up deciding that I'm going to go ahead and get these off Amazon because I feel like I can do this for a lot cheaper. Granted, on Amazon
it doesn't come in a kit.
And now if you want to go ahead and buy other accessories as in the clips or even solder or even wire, you can go ahead and very well do so. The light I ended up buying came from jdmtoy.com, which is a retailer over on Amazon. And long story short, I want to say that the quality of these lights feel very, very nice, and they look absolutely beautiful. It has this aluminum rim that goes all the way around, is painted black, and it has this locking nut on the back that feels high quality. And what is nice about it is the fact that you can slide this into anything you want, and the locking nut will tighten on the back side, so it holds it nice in place. And they give you plenty of wire to work with depending on whatever application you decide to go with. And one other feature I don't think I'm going to end up using, but you never know in a case that you might need to, but what's cool is that you could take this glass out if you would like. Overall, you could screw that back for whatever reason and access the lights directly if needed be. I've already installed it over on the driver's side of the car because on the driver's side of the car, I wanted to make sure I did it right the first time before I went ahead and made this video. And what I have noticed that I'm not the biggest fan of is that they do look a little bulgy. But what is nice about this is when you back up and you actually look at it from a 5/8 perspective, and I'm sorry if you're any shorter than that, but you don't see it at all unless you bend down, then you can see it. And you can see that the light shines very bright, and it's pretty bright outside so far. The sun is still out and you can see how much they're shining, so you can't even imagine how bright they're going to be at night. And the very first thing you want to do is obviously open your door because you can't get in here without opening the door. And then there's this little access panel right here. You're going to pop this thing off. It doesn't really take much effort, and you got this little diaper bag of shit in here. Then you go ahead and you have access to these 3 bolts right here. This is an 11mm wrench that you're able to put on here and take it right off. I have noticed that when you put a socket on it, it does not work because the plastic is in the way. But before you do that, you want to make sure you unplug this clip right here. And once you do that, it should come right out because there's a little tab over at the bottom. And from there, now you have disconnected your mirror. And one big question I can almost guarantee I'm going to hear throughout the comment section if I don't say this is, do I need to unplug the battery to make sure I don't get electrocuted enough? I did not get electrocuted when I had the battery plugged in when I did the driver's side, but if it does make you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and unplug the battery. It's really going to make no difference, but I'm not going to be the one to make that decision for you. But what I have also found that is a lot easier is you go ahead and roll down the windows so you have more access to grab the mirror and also undo the bolts at the same time. And ba-bam! Now, if you decide you want to do this over on the car or when the mirror's off, you could do either or, and I personally found that it was a lot easier to have it on the car, so I don't know why I jumped the gun and took these mirrors off. Now, you have to be extra careful when you go ahead and remove this glass because it could potentially shatter, but there is a way to do this without having it shatter, so you have to really pay close attention and be extremely patient with it, unlike I am. I promise you, you'll be looking back in this at some point and regretting the decision that you made. And it's okay if you push it with your fingers, you're not going to ruin the motor on it. That's why these things move. What you're going to want to do is remove those clips, and once you do that, the mirror should pop right off. As you guys can see, this thing is extremely dirty, and this would be a great time to go ahead and clean this because more than likely you're not going to be popping this thing off again. So getting this thing clean and knowing that it's nice and fresh is going to make you not only feel better, but know that this thing is nice and clean. And as I told you guys I would show you, there's these little tabs over on the back side of the mirror that you'll notice. There's one there, one right here, and you might also find this one right here as well. So when you go ahead and pop this off, you're going to want to be able to go on that tab, push down on it, and you're going to want to pull this way on each end while moving the mirror around, because if you pull this way, you're doing nothing but going ahead and pushing against the housing and potentially cracking the glass. So once you have that mirror out of the way, you want to be able to flip the housing over. Notice that there's this little like Patrick Star looking head thing on the underside of this mirror. You're going to want to pop that off, and you're able to do so by using a flathead screwdriver, wedging it inside here, and this thing should pop off. And the reason why we're going to pop this off is so we could route our wires much easier when it goes ahead and putting them inside the car. Now going into everyone's favorite part, and I'm exactly exaggerating when I say that because everyone seems so scared when it goes ahead and drilling to anything, and it's really not as bad as people make it seem to be. If you measure twice and cut once, everything will work out as you expect it to. Just make sure that you're patient and not rushing anything, because when you rush things like me, things go wrong. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drill into this section right here, and there's two reasons for that. One, because I want to, and second, because over on the instructions on the other website that told me to drill right here. Now we're gonna go ahead and move into one of my favorite sections, and this is like what I like to call the drilling section, because I don't really have a name for this. It would be nice if we had a punch for this, because we can go ahead and mark a hole so we're not going ahead and just fighting our demons and trying to line this thing up correctly. So when you go ahead and put the drill in, it's not walking all over the place. Yeah. 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 First thing you're probably gonna notice is, well, that hole looks a lot smaller than where this is supposed to go. What we did, and the reason why we did this, is because I wanted to make a smaller pilot hole, so when I go ahead and use a bigger bit, which I don't have out here, I'm gonna be able to drill this in first time nice and easy, so I don't have to go ahead and have this walking all over the place. And what's nice about this too, is that let's just say, for example, if I was to go with a bigger bit, then how would I know if it's gonna fit right the first time, and now I made the hole too big. I also want to make this clear now that this 3/8 bit is a tad bit smaller than what is considered for this thread pitch here. So what we're going to do and compensate for that is we're going to go ahead and look for the file, and we're going to put this inside the hole and make the hole just a tad bit bigger by just going in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And from there, we'll be able to make the hole just big enough so this slides in nice and smoothly. Not what you want happening. Haha. Right in perfectly, baby. Now for the final step before we go ahead and put this mirror back on, we're gonna use a 9/16 wrench. We're gonna go ahead and tighten this lock nut in here, because once we do that, this will stay nice and tight. And then once we do that, we're gonna fish the wire all the way to the underside of here, put a zip tie on it, and be able to fish it out so we can go ahead and put it inside the car. Really important note that I want to mention that I ended up running into an issue when putting this thing in the first time is the fact that when you put this mirror in, you want to make sure that this tab right here lines up with this little slot right here, because if you don't, the mirror is going to start hopping and it's going to look like it's broken when in reality it's not. So you want to put a little bit moderate pressure on there until you hear it click, and once it clicked, you should be good to go. This is probably the point in the video where the majority of you guys are probably gonna end up clicking off, but trust me, bear with me, it's a lot easier than it looks. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about the passenger side first and make our way over to the driver's side, because they're both a tad bit different, but not too awfully difficult. So we're gonna go ahead and pull out this purple wire, which is at the very end over on the point that comes out from the door, because this is gonna be your power wire. Now the other wire that we're gonna pull out is this black and yellow one, and you're gonna notice over on the 2014 Mustang, not sure how they are on the other models, but there are two black and yellow wires over on the passenger side. We're gonna go ahead and do the one that's in the middle a little bit, not the one at the very end. And the reason why we're gonna do that is because I'm gonna just mock exactly what I did over on the driver's side, and I went up and go ahead and doing that middle one as well. So the driver's side is a tad bit different over than the passenger side, because over on the driver's side, this black and yellow wire is just actually solid black, and same goes with the other prong as well. But you're gonna match the same exact thing from one side and do it to the other as you would do in any sort of project. So we're gonna go ahead and clip both those wires, because this, again, black one is negative, and then this purple one is gonna be positive. And we're gonna go ahead and wire this red one right here to the purple one. The black one is gonna wire up to the black and yellow one. You'll notice over on the clip there are numbers on the top and the bottom. You're gonna have 1 through 4 on the top, then you're gonna have 5 through 8 over at the bottom, and we're gonna go ahead and cut the fourth one, which we already did, and we're gonna cut wire number 7 as well. This is my first time ever seeing these, and these are super cool. This is my first time using it. There are these little clips right here that require no solder at all. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and throw 3 wires in there, and the 3 wires we're gonna end up using is one end's gonna go in here, the other end of the purple wire is gonna go in there as well, and considering that this is positive and red is positive, we're also going to throw that in as well to make the third wire. And it doesn't matter what sequence you go, but personally I like to add the 2 colors next to each other and then add what other color, which would be the red one, over on the side or wherever I decide to put it. But overall these are all going to link together, so it really doesn't matter which way you put it. So we're going to go ahead and slide all those in as far as we can back, and then we're going to go ahead and push this red little Lego button, and we're going to use a crimp of some sort, push this button down, and from there this thing will stay nice and crimped. And to test that, we're going to pull on it, and if it doesn't come out, we know this is not going anywhere. So showing you guys as an example, the 2 purple wires that we just cut, we ended up going ahead and putting these inside this little Lego piece, and we ended up going and throwing the red one in there as well, because that's the wire that we want power to. We crimped it down, pushed down on that red button that you guys can see is not popped out anymore, as in this one you can see it's popped out, and then this one right here, it's all flat. You can kind of see it a little bit, you might not, but you can see the dielectric grease just popped out of there. It's going to make this little popping sound, so don't freak out to think that it shocks, but it really isn't. So we went ahead and did that, so we're going to go ahead and do the same with the negative. So those are all linked and tied in together, so the final piece is just to plug this thing back in, and once you hear that thing clip, you can go ahead and test it. So if this thing lights up, we'll know it is working. And as you can see, bam, right there, and this thing is looking nice and sharp. Then we go ahead and lock the car. If my remote would even work. Yeah, figures. But wow, those things are bright. Now, I'm not really the biggest fan of it shining exactly on the car, but I can guarantee when it gets a little bit darker, you'll start seeing the floor lighting up a lot more. Oh my God, open the door, which we're gonna do now. You can see the lights will turn on. Let's try to see if we can lock the car one more time. Overall, I think it looks really, really good, and it gives this car a different appearance that you would normally see, and I actually really like it. I think the white gives it a more of a classy look, so it's extremely easy to throw in, and anybody, and I literally mean anybody, could do it with no electrical knowledge at all, which I don't do a lot of electrical stuff. Whenever I do, it definitely adds a taste to the car I want to continue adding more of. Kind of like, for example, these white LED lights around the dash, and once we go ahead and flick those on, you can see the lights shine all around it. Now, this side looks really bad because it's all sucked in there. One of the bad reasons why I don't like these lights, but you can also get Type S ones that I just noticed today because my buddy Jacob saw them online when he was over on types.com, and they actually sell these lights for around $60, he said. So that was really cool. I might even look into those one of these days, but you can get these over on Amazon for around 13 bucks. I'll also link the video for that up above if anybody's interested. So we're gonna go turn those off, and all we have to do next is go ahead and put this cover back on, and all it does is line up, pop right in, and there we go. Now, this goes to show, even if you were to go buy a cheaper kit online, you could definitely make this work at the end of the day. Right now, for what it is, it was very easy to put in, and I'm very glad I was able to put these in because it makes the car look a lot better and makes me very excited to drive this car at night. Thank you guys all so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next one when we go ahead and add a radiator support brace over on the Mustang.